we got some people who are moving on up to a deluxe apartment in the playoffs, okay? And I love to see it. First up, of course, we have as the number one seed right now, a team that has already clinched the playoffs. That is the Minnesota Lynx. The Minnesota Lynx are looking fantastic. They've won 9 of their last 10 games. This team has won 6 games straight. They're looking great. If you catch Minnesota at home, yeah, you're probably losing because they have the league's best record at home with a record of 17 wins, 1 loss. 1 loss at home for the Minnesota Lynx. They're looking fantastic. Only 5 losses on the season, 28 wins. This team is looking good. They have 2 players who are up for Defensive Player of the Year in Napheesa, Collier, and Alanna Smith, 2 rock stars of players. You have Courtney Williams, the mid-range assassin, who is just rocking and rolling, doing her thing. You got Kayla McBride, the sniper that she is. You got Bridget Carlton, who is just a player who kind of does a little bit of everything. You have Jessica Shepard coming off the bench, now starting because Napheesa's out, who is a utility player. Put Jessica Shepard in and watch her just make an impact on both the offensive and defensive end, and she has absolutely been doing her thing on the offensive end. And then you have Napheesa Heidemann, who is a fantastic bench player who is rocking and rolling. And then you bring in one of the best guard defenders in the league in DJ Carrington, who can give you both defense and offense, and you are left with the best team in the W. What we talking about, guys? What we talking about? Like literally leaps and bounds better than everybody else. This is the only team in the W who is in single-digit loss territory right now. It is wild, okay? Wild. We also have at that number 2 spot, we have the Atlanta Dream. The Atlanta Dream is looking very, very good. This team is finally starting to get healthy. Ryan Howard is back, and she is looking fantastic, right? You got Alicia Gray, who's been rocking and rolling all season long. You have the likes of Brittany Griner, who's been coming off the bench lately, which I actually like her coming off the bench. Like personally, I think that's actually not a bad decision, right? You have Naz Hillman, who is turning into a leading candidate, in my opinion, of 6th Woman of the Year. Naz Hillman is having a breakout year. She is rocking and rolling, doing her thing, looking very, very good on the court this season. You have your two big women down low, right? I already mentioned Brittany Griner, who has been coming off the bench as of late. And you also have Breanna Jones, who's not having as great of a season as she was early in the season, right? Early in the season, Breanna Jones was killing. She hasn't been as spectacular as of late, but she's still doing good, still giving her team good minutes, still a big body that you don't want to really go against. Her footwork is really, really good, and Breanna Jones is just fire. You got Maya Caldwell, who is also, as of late, giving some really, really good minutes. And you have Jordan Canada, who is still out. Unfortunately, she got hurt. She's still out for right now. However, when Jordan and Canada comes back, I think this team is just going to be rocking and rolling. Tahina Powell is turning out to be a really good rookie this year. Has had, I would say, inconsistent of sorts role for this team, but she is someone that you don't want to leave open at the 3-point line, right? And also someone who can facilitate and make some stuff happen if she needs to sort of play that point guard for a little bit. This team in the Atlanta Dream is peaking at the right moment. They're peaking at the right moment, and they're looking good doing it. So, number 1, Minnesota. Number 2, Atlanta. Number 3, with 13 losses on the season, tied in losses with the Phoenix Mercury, we have the New York Liberty. New York Liberty is a team that I would have expected to have 5 losses on the season. But this has not turned out to be the normal, this hasn't turned out to be what we expect from New York. Number 1, New York has dealt with quite a bit of injuries, right? We still have Breanna Stewart, who is still out for this team. She'll be back soon-ish, right? You have the acquisition of Emma Meesseman as a free agent, who is someone who is a big, big addition to this team, and I think someone who has absolutely helped with Breanna Stewart being out. You have Jonquel Jones, who I've said it before, I'm going to say it again. When she gets a double-double, you're pretty much guaranteed to win. You're pretty much guaranteed to win when Jonquel Jones gets a double-double. It's just, at this point, it's just facts, right? It's just fact. You also have just a lot of assets on the New York Liberty that hasn't totally panned out to the season that they, I think, were expecting, right? And when I'm talking about assets, I mean Leonie Fibish. I mean Marine Johannes, right? Guards who can get you a bucket and in Leonie Fibish's standpoint, be a pretty good defender while she's doing it, right? You got Sabrina Ionescu, who can get you bucket after bucket after bucket, right? Averaging around 19 points a game, right? She's doing her thing. You have Natasha Cloud, who is a physical guard who can play some sit-down defense and also get your teammates involved. You have pieces on this team. The problem for the New York Liberty is that they haven't been able to fully put everything together. In theory, you would think they would, right? Kennedy Burke is having what I would consider a breakout season coming off the bench for the New York Liberty. Started a couple games, right? You see this team on paper and you're like, oh, why don't they have 5 wins? When it comes to WNBA, it's about peaking at the right time, and I do think that should Breanna Stewart come back healthy, it's going to be a night and day difference with this New York Liberty team, and I'm interested to ultimately see what happens when she does come back. But all in all, New York is looking good. But if you consider the players on their team and you consider the fact that they won the WNBA championship, I would have expected them to be a little bit better at this point. However, it is what it is, right? We also have at that number 4 spot, we have the Phoenix Mercury. The Phoenix Mercury is a team that I am personally pretty high on. I think this team has a lot of unsung talent. I also think that this is a team that, you can sleep on and you're going to wind up getting burned if you sleep on the Phoenix Mercury for too long. Now, they have had a rough 5-game stretch of sorts. This is a team that has lost some games, and I'm shaking my head and I'm like, what? How'd you lose this? Like, what's going on, right? But all in all, when you look at the Phoenix Mercury and you look at what Alyssa Thomas is doing, her MVP-like season, how she is just spectacular on the court and how she really does bring the whole team up, right? You have the likes of Satsu Sabli, the unicorn, the person who can kind of do a little bit of everything, the person who's leading the team in points right now for the Phoenix Mercury, right? You have Collier Copper, who's healthy, who is someone who can slash the bucket at will and can make an impact, right? You have the likes of Dewana Bonham, who recently joined the team and can bring that additional 3-point scoring, that can bring that additional sort of leadership for this team. You have the likes of Sammy Whitcomb, who can, at times, be a 3-point assassin, right? You have the rookie in Monica Coa-Makani, who is fantastic. I love watching Monica Coa-Makani play. I think she's having a fantastic rookie season. She, in my opinion, has a good chance of making their all-rookie team. Now, this year, there's been a ton of rookies, so that's tough. But I love watching her play, right? I enjoy watching Kat Westbeld, a player who, truly, I stopped checking for her after she left Notre Dame. After she left Notre Dame, I stopped checking for Kat Westbeld completely. And now she's in the W, and now she's making an impact. Less of a role now, I would say, but especially early on in the season, she was absolutely huge for this squad, and still is a big time player for this squad. Natasha Mack, go down the list. This Phoenix Mercury team is a team that can absolutely handle their business. And it's a team that you kind of got to be careful about, because they can rock out. Okay, so that's number 4. Now, number 5 goes to a team that was kind of towards the outside looking in when it came to the playoffs. It is the Las Vegas Aces. The Las Vegas Aces were struggling big time. Pre-All-Star break, struggle fest. They make some moves. They end up picking up Melissa Smith. They ended up bringing Quita Stokes to the bench, and they made the decision to bench Jewell Loyd, something that she was cool with. And that has turned into a fantastic cascading series of decisions for the Las Vegas Aces to lead this team to be on a 7-game winning streak. 7-game winning streak. Spectacular play by the Las Vegas Aces. Of course, A'ja Wilson is A'ja Wilson. Jackie Young is Jackie Young. Of course, they're going to lead this team. They're going to get their bucket. But it's everybody else who has stepped up their game. It's Chelsea Gray, who's looking more and more like the point guard that we know that she is. We have Jewell Loyd that's having bits and spurts of her old self, of her old confident Jewell Loyd self. right? It's Nalissa Smith that's just adding in a series of really, really good minutes for this team. It's players doing the little things like Kirsten Bell, who has stepped up big time this year and is on her way to the best season of her short career. It's Dana Evans and the minutes that she gives to the team as well, and how she's able to make an impact. It's the fact that Cheyenne Parker-Tyus is on her way back for this team. The Las Vegas Aces are peaking at the right time, and I just want to say, for all those people who counted them out, now it's time to reconsider. It's time to reconsider because they mean business. And I wouldn't be surprised if they messed up and found their way back in the WNBA final. Because the WNBA, just like any other league, has teams that they yo-yo. And this has kind of been a yo-yo season for the Las Vegas Aces. But they are on their way up right now, and they're looking fantastic. So we'll see how that continues, right? The Las Vegas Aces are not far from being second place in the league. Wild. Again, this team has had 14 losses. The number 2 team in the league has had 12. Not much distance. Not much distance. Now, a huge ways away from Minnesota, but not much distance from the Atlanta Dream and the New York Liberty. All right, number 6, we have the Indiana Fever. This is a team that is still trying to figure out who they are, still trying to make stuff work. I do think it's been a pretty successful season. Now a lot of injuries, a lot of strife, a lot of things in the news, a lot of unnecessary negative attention on the Indiana Fever, but they're figuring out ways to win games. They're figuring out stuff that works. They've been decimated with injuries, right? You got 2 players who are out for the rest of the season. You got 1 player who's like been hurt for the majority of the season. Right, you just had another player who just got hurt. We'll see what her status is going forward. Like lots and lots and lots and lots of just figuring out. Let's just put this player here. Let's sign this player. Let's do this. Let's do that. Right, you had a player who wanted to leave. You end up waiving them. Right, so much stuff has happened with this Indiana Fever team, and yet they're still in 6th place. Yet they're still not that far off again from the number 2 spot in the league. Now we'll see how things turn out, but like. Yeah, they're in a decent position to stay in the playoff hunt. And now the challenge really is, can you get to a decent seeding in the playoff? That's going to be the hard thing. Because if things end up the way they are right now, if the Indiana Fever make the playoffs, they're going against the New York Liberty. If the playoffs started right now, right? They're 6, New York is 3. That's a tough battle. And so I think it's going to start to get to a point where the Indiana Fever are thinking about matchups and who would they rather match up against. Would you rather match up against a Atlanta Dream or a New York Liberty? And so that's definitely going to be a question, especially as we head towards the last season of the regular season. I mean, last week of the regular season, right? That's going to really start to be a question of like, who would you rather go up against? Who would you rather? So that's the thing. And then number 7, we have the Golden State, a team that I have been heaping praises on since the regular season started and since we all started to see how great of a team that they really are. The Golden State Valkyries are a team that just has figured out ways to win. They figured out ways to win, and they've done it by committee, right? They've done it by committee, and that's the thing that I personally love to see for this Golden State Valkyries team, right? This is a team that has the likes of Veronica Burton, who is having a breakout year, right? Remember, Veronica Burton was buried on the Connecticut Sun roster last year, right? Yeah, she played. Yes, she played. She got some minutes here and there. She got some points in, but she wasn't a starter, right? She wasn't a player who was going to sort of lead the charge for her team, right? She wasn't someone who was seen as a game changer, right? Because you had a stacked Connecticut Sun team, right? You had Ty Harris, you had Alyssa Thomas, you had DeWanna Bonner, right? You had Breanna Jones. You had a lot of really big time players on Connecticut last year. So Veronica was buried. Now we see Veronica Burton thriving. She started every single game so far for the Golden State Valkyries and has had a breakout season. Someone who is absolutely in the running for most improved player, right? You have her stepping up and stepping out, getting about 11 points a game, right? You have the likes of Tiffany Hayes, who we all know what she can do, right? Reigning 6th Woman of the Year, right? Someone who has big buckets in her veins. Like, this is what she does, right? Tiff Hayes has been in the league for a long time, and she knows how to step up, when to step up, and how to motivate her team, her young team, for greatness, right? You have Chechi, Xander Lassini. You have her, who was with the Minnesota Lynx, knows what excellence looks like, knows how to play her role very well, and has had a reinvigoration of 3-point shooting, right? You have Janelle Salon, who brings that European flair, someone who can do a little bit of everything on the court, and someone who she just hoops, right? She doesn't get too down on herself, right? She keeps shooting. Sometimes the shot is off, sometimes it's on, but when it's on, it's looking great, right? You got Ilyana Rupert, who when her threes are falling, it is a sight to behold, right? You have Carla Late, Timmy Fagbin-Late. Like, we can go down the list of players for this Golden State Valkyries team. They look great, and they look way better than we expected. And they're a team that leads with the three. They lead with a three. And to be quite honest with you, this is a team that they struggled a little bit from the three. But now that three has fallen even more recently, and they are grinding out wins, right? They went on a 4-game winning streak before losing to the Atlanta Dream on Sunday. And I expect this Golden State Valkyries team to make the playoffs. I expect this team to rock and roll and look very good, right? And then with the number 8 spot in the playoffs right now, if the playoffs ended today, we have the Seattle Storm. The Seattle Storm that is going through a storm right now. This team on paper has excellent players, right? You have one of the best point guards that we've seen in the last decade or so, right? You have one of the best post players that this game has seen, right? Former number 1 pick, right? You have the looks of possible greatness in your young player. You have a lot of experience on this team, a lot of experience. And you had a very, very good start to the season. And then as the season went on, you started to deal with some challenges. You started to deal with challenges. You had a player who wanted to get traded away. You traded her, right? You are just working through something, right? How the Seattle Storm, they just have a lot going on, right? They got a lot going on. And I'm interested to ultimately see how this Seattle Storm team plays together, right? Yeah, you lose a vet. You bring in a vet that is a big-time scorer. What do you do? How do all the pieces fit? How do they fit, right? When you think about Seattle, right, you got Skylar, right? You got NECA, you got Brittany Sykes, you got Erica Wheeler, all who have proven themselves to be fantastic players this season, right? You have Gabby Williams, two-way player, right? You have Dominique Malunga, the future. How do you make this stuff work? How do you turn a band of individuals into a championship team? That's something that this Seattle Storm is trying to figure out. They're trying to figure that out in real time. And we're watching them work through the kinks. Does it look pretty all the time? No, it does not. There's some games where it's like, what in the world are you doing? And there's other games where it all comes together. These are question marks that we have for this Seattle Storm team. Will they make the playoffs? Will they not make the playoffs? Right? What happened to this team? What happened? Then you have 9 through 13, right? You have the LA Sparks and the Washington Mystics who are still trying to battle it out for a potential jump up to that 8th spot, right? Those two teams are tied up in their record, right? Does Kelsey Plum ultimately lead the charge for this Los Angeles Sparks team to lift them up over the hump into a playoff seeding? Will she be able to take her own team that she leads and make stuff happen, right? Or will the young and fun Washington Mystics team, a team that is led by 2 rookies, arguably the 2 best players on this team are both rookies, and Sonia Citron and Kiki Iriafen. Can this team do the unthinkable with 2 rookies leading the charge, with a rookie head coach, with I believe a rookie GM? Can you make the playoff? You got a great chance to. You got a fantastic chance. And I'm excited ultimately to see the future of this Washington Mystics team. I think they're poised for greatness, right? They're poised for greatness. And you got to love to see it. You got to love it, right? And then you got everybody else, right? You got the Dallas Wings, you got the Chicago Sky, you got the Connecticut Sun, all teams that are just not very good, right? They're not good this year. They have no chance of making the playoffs, even though technically they're not. The Connecticut Sun have been eliminated from the playoffs. Right now, technically the Chicago Sky and Dallas Wings still have a chance to make the playoffs. It's not happening though. Like it would be insane, right? The Chicago Sky have lost 9 of their last 10 games. They're looking terrible. Good news though for Chicago Sky fans is that Angel Reese is starting to ramp back up in practice. And so that's good. So we'll see her come back before the season's over. For the Dallas Wings, I mean, you got your future is Paige Beckers, and you figuring out, okay, you know what, we're gonna be a lottery pick again this year. How can we add pieces to what Paige already offers, right? I think that's the big question. How do you build your team around Paige? I think it's clear that that's what they're trying to do. And so yeah, man. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens for the Chicago Sky. I mean, truly, it's you got rid of a lottery pick, right? So Minnesota may end up getting a number 1 pick in the draft next year, and that's all thanks to Chicago, right? You traded away the number 3 pick in the draft that is likely going to be the rookie of the year this year. It's like a Citron, right? You've made misstep after misstep. You've made bad decision after bad decision. You have thought that you were a genius, and you are not. So, what does the future have for Chicago? I don't know. At this point, I'm not anticipating anything good because history has shown us that they don't know what they're doing. And we'll see if ultimately they make the right decisions. Because I could see a good future for Dallas, right? Even Connecticut, I think they have a really awesome young core, and they have a lot of really good picks for the future, right? You have a really, really good young core in Anissa Morrow, Sanaya Rivers, right? You have pieces that could ultimately be huge for your team in the long run, and pieces who will stay with your team for the next couple of years, right? You already got them locked, right? You got Aaliyah Edwards. You have Layla Lacan. So many players that have a fantastic future who are under contracts. And so there's a lot of really good sign for Connecticut. So yes, Connecticut's trash this year, but they're building the pieces, and they have a lot of pieces for next year. The Chicago Sky, they look trash this year, and I don't really have hope for next year for this team, right? Because all you really have under contract is Angel Reese and Camila Cardoso. Of course, yeah, you have Haley, but she has not proven that she's ready yet. You have Maddie Westbeld. She has not proven that she's ready yet. That's all you got really under contract in terms of your young pieces, right? Dallas Wings, they have their picks. They have more than their picks in the draft. And you have Paige Beckers, you have Isaiah James, you have JJ Quinterly, 3 players who are going to lead the charge for the future of your team, right? So lots of positives that I can point to. A lot of positives. And so we'll see what happens from here. All right? We'll see what happens from now. That is your look at the standings. I wanted to start off talking about that just so y'all can get a feel for what's going on in the WNBA.